birthday, you wouldn't be able to sit down.
Somebody said that was very good.
So in celebrating them, we wanted to take an opportunity to share a few stories that illustrate some of our favorite qualities in the dynamic duo.
As many of you know, our mother is a magic maker, a believer and a practitioner in the truth that with hard work and commitment, anything is possible. It is this mindset that has shaped so much of our lives, and of course, was cultivated long before we were born. One story that illustrates this quality so well comes from my mom's experience as a Peace Corps volunteer living in Panama. Growing up, we loved hearing the stories of her time there, the meaningful work she did, and the friendships that she made.
Before we fully jump into the story, I actually think, do you guys want to sit so you're actually seeing us? A little.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much better. I don't want to be so.
You want to see? But the story we're telling today comes from my mom's pre-placement training. Now, if you haven't heard these stories, I do really encourage you to ask her, because apparently in the early 60s, Peace Corps pre-training was much like a reality TV show where they were testing, can you cut it? And if not, you got voted off the island. So this is the test they laid out for her. First, she was asked to swim across an Olympic-sized pool. Dive to the bottom and pick up a piece of rubber. Then she had to do the same with her legs tied together. Hard, but achievable.
Oh, you don't know the story now?
Then they tied her arms behind her back and asked her to do the same set of tasks. This is getting pretty complicated.
Navy SEAL?
Now the final test strains credulity, unless of course you know Cathy Bishop, because she is a woman always up for a challenge, eager for a new experience, and certainly not one to let a little swimming test stand in the way of adventure. The third and final test was to do all the same. Swim the length of the pool, dive to the bottom, collect the piece of rubber, all while having her arms and legs tied behind her back. Of course, everyone here knows by now that my mother accomplished this impossible feat and rose to the surface with the object clenched between her teeth.
Of course she did.
Our mother's fierceness was more than just her physical strength and courage. Her commitment to actualizing possibility and opportunity showed up in her career, being one of the few women in her law school class, flying to Washington, D.C. prepared to argue in front of the Supreme Court while 8 months pregnant with my sister, and her unyielding commitment, work, and dedication to the simple belief that housing is a human right. Her fierceness also shows up in the micro moments and Herculean efforts of her parenting. A favorite memory of ours were the warm September nights that my mom would somehow, after work and school and ballet class and soccer practice, put together a fabulous picnic dinner and whisk us off to Alameda Beach to watch the sunset with our feet in the sand on a school night. It was nothing less than magical. It is this core value that has ensured Elizabeth and I, and so many others that she has mothered, mentored, and supported, see the challenges life presents as opportunities, and have the courage to chase even our most wildest of dreams.
And Susan Larkin can vouch for the fact that that swimming test was done, right, Susan?
I almost put that in. I almost said, ask Susan to see if this is true. For our magic-making mother is, of course, our father, the life of the party, an expert storyteller with a superpower for empathy. We have a hunch that his deep ability to understand and share the feelings of others was cultivated in the 3rd grade. We can only imagine that nearly everyone here has heard the story. And of course, no one can tell a story quite like my father, but it also wouldn't be a toast to my parents if we didn't share this formative and often repeated tale. So for those of you who haven't heard the story, Sister Lucida, the nun who taught 3rd grade at Blessed Sacrament Grade School in Syracuse, New York, had what some might describe as a gift for motivating young minds. Each week, based on the children's academic achievement, the kids were assigned to different seats. The first 2 rows were best in class, sitting in the Sea of Galilee. This, of course, is the water Christ walked on, and is known as the most beautiful sea in all the Middle East. The second 2 rows were the Red Sea. Now this is a beautiful sea, not the Sea of Galilee, but a beautiful sea nonetheless. The last 2 rows, and the rows where my father spent his time, were known as the Dead Sea, where according to Sister Lucida, nothing could live. Now my dad shares with us regularly just how lucky he is for how his life has unfolded, and how it was never a given that his life would be so good. As a result, he always has a moment or a couple of bucks for someone down on their luck, be it a stranger or a loved one. And he is always effusive with his gratitude and appreciation for his loved ones, and of course for his wife, the love of his life, our mother, telling us daily what an amazing woman she is, and relaying stories of her strength and wisdom, and reminding us just how beautiful she is.
As professionals, both working towards justice and liberation in education and healthcare, my sister and I now both understand how much storytelling is an integral part to social justice work. This necessary tool to understand ourselves and others was modeled for us by our father. He showed us how to engage in an almost daily practice of seeking to understand ourselves and others, and approaching all people with empathy and care. Family dinners included invitations for us at as young as 8 and 10 to ruminate over his cases with him, to consider every perspective, to care deeply for people we had never met and would never even know their names. And on weekends, over toasted bagels from Noah's and a kitchen table covered in the New York Times, my father would peek over his piece of the paper and query, "Girls, what do you think about?" The topics and the following discussion could range. He asked us for our thoughts on everything from abortion to Madonna's cone-shaped bra. But the core practice was always the same. Question everything, be prepared to defend your opinions and ideas, and take every opportunity to learn, understand, and care for others. His art of storytelling and deep empathy were also key ingredients to his successful work as a labor lawyer, committed to the principle that every person has the right to just treatment by their employer. His ability to connect with, understand, and care for others provided him with the skills to truly understand his clients and craft compelling and creative arguments in his cases. This skill provided many victories and landed us our first family dog.